All right. Thinking about which choice we should make first. Because I feel like the best way to navigate this narrative is to always proceed with the worst choices first and slowly build up from there. But I'm not actually sure which one's the worst one here. I'm curious how leave goes. Because it feels like the moral thing to do is to try to stay with your friends. So leave probably is even worse. Or feels worse or something. So I guess we could do that one first.
Yeah.
But wow, choices. Narrative choices that causes a branch. It's been a while. They're usually passwords too. As I spoke, a tightness released itself from my chest. I breathed a sigh of relief, and Thanatos just nodded slowly.
You're sure?
Anno's back. Yeah, I'll go.
Get going then.
Well, go on then. Get out of here. In a trance, I just started walking? Dave.
Yeah.
You didn't even grab a water.
Keith, you don't understand. He's dumb.
He's so dumb, though. How is he this dumb? And I'm not blaming him for leaving because I chose the leave option. I just mean, like, you didn't even, like, pack for the trip? Like, you didn't grab some of your belongings or, like, an extra, like, some kind of lining or jacket, depending on the temperature, or, like, grabbing... He's probably in his hoodie, I guess, but that's probably not enough. But, like, fucking grab rations. Some kind of, like, food and water, especially since you haven't, out of, like, depression or whatever, you still haven't eaten for 48 hours again, the second time this month. So, like, you keep not taking anything in, and now you're gonna go on a wilderness hike, and you're not even gonna, like... I know you're not hungry now, buddy, but, like, that's not how planning works. You need to, you know, you just plan ahead for how you're gonna survive this trip where you're just kind of groping in the dark and hoping for the best. I'm not even sure if he has a flashlight. I think it just mysteriously always has a flashlight. Maybe. That isn't mentioned much, funnily enough. In a trance, I just started walking. I left the dining room and headed out the front door. I didn't even bother checking if I had a phone. You have your phone. You've been psychically ruined by modern society to always have your phone. Trust me, you're fine. Each step I took forward reminded me of how tired I was. What was I going to do when I got to the main road? Would I be able to climb? Would I just fall? It didn't bother me as much as it should have. I just kept walking in the dark, feeling the roughness of the driveway underneath my feet. It hurt, but even still, I could bring myself to react to it. I couldn't bring myself to react to it. The driveway hurt? He took this walk several times, and it didn't seem to be a problem. I was whining internally, mouth parted slightly as I breathed ragged breaths. Home. I was headed home. I stepped out into the open, the trees parting and the world opening up for me once again. It was the road. The air was cold. Underneath my fur, I could feel it nipping at me. With the moon peeking out from behind the clouds, the valley was lit up as I wandered towards the place where the road was no more. I think I said this before, but this is like an incredibly familiar sight. Like,
Yeah.
startlingly familiar. Like, I think I struggle accepting that it's not just actually local. Because it looks like the drive you take to get to, like, Reno and Tahoe and stuff from Central California. Like, the same road, the same cliff, the same trees, like, it all matches to where I would struggle to accept that it's anywhere else. But it could be, I don't know. But I wasn't alone. I stopped in the middle of the road once I'd realized it, staring at the figure looking into the gap left by the explosion. My blood ran cold, a new kind of cold that made the night air a warm blanket by comparison. He turned slowly to look at me. Something seemed off from the last time we'd met. I could tell something was wrong. But that didn't last long. Once he registered who he was looking at, that smile made its way on his face, The smile that set alarm bells ringing in my head.
Ah, it's you.
The way he approached was almost too casual. He was relaxed, much like the first time we met.
How good to see you again. Dave, was it?
Trembling as he reached out and put an arm around my shoulder, I let out a sound from my mouth somewhere between a whispered scream and a whine. Just kiss him, Dave. It'll catch him off guard.
Listen, I'm looking for a buddy of mine. Think you might have seen him?
Of course Dom knew Jack. Of course they were looking for him when he didn't head back their way.
Big guy. Bear. Doesn't smile all that much. Doesn't say that much either. Sound familiar?
We got him to smile. Maybe you guys are just bad friends. You ever think about that, Jack?
See, thing is, after chasing you all the way to that house, my buddy Dom figured he'd do the next run. See if he can get you all to clear out before you get in the way. Especially after hearing a gun go off late at night.
Just explaining what you're up to in great detail. After chasing you all the way to the house a week ago, my buddy Dom thought he'd do the next run single-handedly, but we didn't in any way watch where he was or what he was up to, and so we don't know he's dead, even though... What the fuck? These guys are idiots. Okay, the villains are stupid too. Good to know.
But shucks, he never came back from his little walk. Have any idea why?
I could see him hovering over the knife he kept with him. He hadn't drawn it yet, so maybe I could still get away. Maybe it wasn't too late to run.
I hate to go assuming the worst in people, you know? Because I don't think there are many who can do worse than me.
In a flash, he'd gotten his knife out. All while I was still wondering if I could get away. Quickly, he'd sunk it into my side, just leaving it there. My body screamed in pain, but Jack's hand over my mouth kept it, for the most part, internal. As much as I wanted to cry out into the night, to call for help, no one was coming this time. There would be no last-minute rescue, no chance of escape this time.
Here's how I imagine it went down. Dom wanders up, knocks on your door all peaceful-like and gets inside. Always tried to be polite, didn't he?
He twisted the knife, clamping down harder on my muzzle. I began to cry and felt the strength start to leave my legs.
But then that butler got in the way and shot him. Typical.
Jack shook his head as he guided up closer to the gap in the road, step after painful step.
Damn shame, do. I liked that bear, which is why I sent him alone into this predictable trap.
We stopped just shy of the edge, and I looked down. While the moon had been out, I still couldn't see the bottom. Maybe it was how the trees down below looked like rolling waves or inky black clouds, but it seemed like a bottomless fall.
I think I might go take a visit myself. Maybe bring the boss along now that a voice of reason has been dealt with. Probably have you to thank for that, huh?
And as he let go of my muzzle, I breathed in deep and groaned with pain from how my body reacted. In a flash, Jack had spun me around to face him, though. Thought he was facing Jack already.
Oh, before I forget, I have one tiny thing to ask you before I get going.
He wasn't gentle when he pulled the knife out. His shock that hit my system drowned out the immediate pain I felt so that it could hit me all at once to the point that I could no longer scream. His shock that hit my system drowned out the immediate pain I felt so that it could hit me all at once to the point where I could no longer scream. I'm not gonna spend more time on that one. I felt flashes of hot and cold as I started to bleed out there on the road.
Say hi to Dom for me?
He lazily pushed me off the road. As I fell, I saw him turn away and start to walk, but after that, it was just black. Maybe I passed out soon after having the ground
taken out from under me. But I would not wake up again. Bad end. Dominic. That's interesting. We have not seen... Whoa, we have not seen that text since...
yeah, for forever.
Orlando on like day 8.
Yeah.
That's actually wild to realize that we're on like day 21. We're like, oh right, the format is that you get a bad end and it says bad end name of character. Like every character has a unique bad end and there's also only one bad end per one character. Wow, I forgot that was the format of the game. So anyway, but now we got that out of the way. That the time for the story one where things happen. There was a tightness in my chest as I looked at Thanatos, the single word leaving my mouth.
All right.
I can't leave my friends behind.
Hardly surprising.
Am I going to die?
Probably.
Thanatos?
What do you want?
I'm scared.
What do you expect me to do about it? Knock you out again?
No, I don't think that'd help.
Then what?
Can you tell me if all of this is worth it?
What do you mean?
You've seen this happen, had all these talks, know what's going to happen before I even have thought about it. Is watching all this suffering happen worth it?
This isn't a question for a machine.
I guess not. Sorry. I turned to leave, but I hesitated before getting too far.
What?
If you had feelings and understood what we're going through, I just wonder if you'd be more willing to help. That's all.
You have no idea.
I left it at that and headed back to my room. Even after having just woken up, I was still exhausted. Something I was happy for, if only because it meant I didn't have to worry about thinking. I decided to stay. A decision that seemed to sit best with me, given I'd already lost some friends already. God damn it. And didn't like the idea of abandoning the rest. But as much as I decided to stay, a big part of me wanted to leave, to put all this behind me and escape. I literally thought the same line started repeating again because it's the same language again. Alright, well, what would Dad do? What would Tyson or Orlando want me to do? Well, they would all die, is what I know about them so far. I didn't have to wonder for too long, as I soon found myself drifting off, if a little worried about what was coming next. I think this is the furthest we've ever been. Day 22. I think we're past the other... I can check the loading screen. I think we're past how far we were in the before I went back. Yeah, day 21B. So we're actually further now than we were in Route B. Let's see. It had taken me some time to get settled. Longer than I wanted it to, but when I was finally down, it took me a while to realize it. Not that I felt like I was falling, or even floating. That it was just there. I slowly opened my eyes, and I was laying on the sofa at home. My body felt like lead, but I sat up anyway. Hello? Silence. Nothing came in reply to my question, even as I craned my neck to look into the dining room. Instead of the kitchen and dining room table, the doorway just seemed to lead to more darkness. Pulling myself to my feet was a struggle, and the moment I stood, I was falling. I could feel the wind rush past me. I could feel the cold. I could feel my stomach sinking faster than what I perceived myself to be falling. Faster than what I perceived myself to be... whatever. Oh, hey, we're here. Almost painfully, I found myself on my stomach, the strength in my limbs sapped. Oh, Dave, you made it. Huh? You don't remember how you got here, did you? Do you? Is grammar? Did I get... My head was hurting. My heart was racing. If it wasn't for the fact that everything around me started to blur, I would have thought I'd somehow found myself in a living nightmare. So, tell me about Dom. What happened to him, I wonder? He's... The word caught in my mouth, but this dream Jack seemed to know where I was going with it. Dead? Well, that's a shame, because you know, when my buddy doesn't come back, there's going to be questions. He approached slowly, that smile starting to make its way on his face. It bothers me just because like we discussed that there's multiple explanations of like what could be going on with Dom and whether or not he's currently literally has the other guys behind him, or if they just literally have no idea what he's doing because he's on solo mission. It's just odd that it's like too convenient and a little bit too like the author knowing what's happening and letting it bleed into the characters, like some metagaming stuff, when they all come to the immediate conclusion that is actually the truth, and then we then have it confirmed later via the characters that that's exactly what happened. He's just kind of wandered off on his own with zero supervision and zero clear communication, because that's just how they operate apparently. And with questions come answers. So, how many questions do you think you can answer for me, Dave? I shut my eyes tight and tried to will the nightmare away. Surprisingly, it seemed to work. Not for long, though, as I could feel the ground beneath me start to shift.
Dave.
Thanatos?
Wake up.
Where are you? I blinked and he was there, seemingly materializing out of thin air.
I said wake up.
But... why?
Wake up.
But I
said.
The moment my... Wake up, Lily. You gotta wake up. The moment I opened my eyes, I sat bolt upright. My heart was pounding in my chest, and from what little light was coming in from the window, I could tell it was early. As I breathed, I could feel it rattle up my throat and out of my mouth. Then on the way back down, it felt like I couldn't get enough air. For the next few minutes, I tried to catch my breath, and ended up just feeling sick. Though, I was awake, and able to breathe, even with the self-induced nausea. I went for my phone, rubbing my eyes. My flinch reaction was to message Tyson for him to get coffee, but my fingers froze just above the screen. My whole body trembled as I realized I couldn't. The same applied to Orlando, and the sound that came out of my mouth after was somewhere between a squeak and a whine. It took a while to get going, crawling over to the bathroom and having a shower. The steam helped me warm up and regulate my breathing, but deep down I felt cold. I was shaken, worried that what I dreamed was just a premonition of what was going to happen. No one else seemed to be up, given how early it was. It was no wonder. Part of me considered checking in with the others, but I found myself drawn to the front door. I was gonna say, someone should be on guard duty, right? There should be no one is up. Because we're very convinced they're coming now. I sat down on the stairs and stared at it. Waiting. Watching. Wondering if anyone was going to come knocking like Dom did. The smear of blood across the floor was still there, leading off down a hallway and out of sight.
Dave.
Sal's voice was quiet, almost whispered, but it made me jump all the same. I looked over my shoulder and watched as he came down the stairs to sit beside me. Oh, so he wasn't on duty either. Shit.
Couldn't sleep.
Not really.
I get the impression that the only one sleeping soundly is Dean.
Because of all the drugs. Because?
Sleeping medication.
I punched him in the face. Call back. Bear tranquilizers.
I caught him taking more than what I expected to as far as tablets.
How nosy do you have to be to even notice something like that?
Yeah.
He's probably taking them in his room. And also, like, who's eyeing the count of the tablets? He's taking a stronger dose?
I checked in on him this morning and he's breathing, so at the very least, what stupid decision he made hasn't had any consequences yet.
At least he's getting sleep. I'm torn between wanting to sleep versus just staying awake to avoid nightmares. At least he's getting sleep just feels odd. I keep remarking on how much Dave is sleeping, and then he keeps sleeping even more, and that was like the 5th or 6th time that he has slept even more. So it's not exactly like a Nightmare on Elm Street situation where you're like staying awake so he doesn't get you in your dreams because you're like, a human being can only survive 50 hours without sleep or whatever the trailer said. I haven't watched those movies.
Yeah.
He's sleeping like crazy. He slept 50 hours.
Are they worse because of yesterday?
Yeah. I keep thinking about what's going to happen with Dom dead. I keep wondering if someone's going to come looking for him, so... Ironically, most of the dreams actually haven't been bad. They're just confusing, mostly, until the last one. I gestured to the door before burying my face in my hands.
So you're waiting for that person.
They think that wasn't the person? They don't think Dom was the... They've decided that Dom was not the variable person. They didn't even consider it, I don't think. Huh. I don't know if I want someone to arrive or not. On one hand, if I'm expecting it, it's better than being caught off guard, but someone doesn't...
You're left wondering if anyone's gonna arrive at all. That's messed up.
Did Dave ever see his dad's body?
I don't know.
Because given all the weird conspiracy shit happening, it's not that unreasonable that David could just be alive.
Yeah.
Like, what if David arrives? It's like, Dad? Sorry, son, I faked my death because of the plot shit that's happening. Haas quietly sat down next to me, the three of us looking at the front door.
You can't sleep either?
No, I definitely slept. We nodded, lying, and Haas continued.
Guess Dean's the only one then, huh?
Wow, Haas just doesn't care about Roswell at all. You seen Roswell and Benson this morning?
Just Roswell. Checked in and he was staring at the ceiling. He was awake, but with everything going on, he's not looking too great. For a few moments, I almost thought, well... Benson. No clue.
Thanatos?
Same. Haven't seen either of them yet. Guessing you haven't either if you're both asking.
I'm gonna relog real quick to see if the popping goes away. Testing.
Hello.
There we go. That's right. Oh.
Oop. I can't see the stream. It just would not load. Give me a moment.
Oh, wait. Because I left and came back. and I forgot to
okay.
make a new stream. There we go.
There we go, that's better. That's right. Dave was here when I finished checking on Dean and just, sat down.
What are we meant to do? Make breakfast? Sit and wait?
No, thank you. I don't feel like eating right now. Same. Water maybe, but later.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to eat anything now, I'd just, you know. I'm an adult. I made a show of hugging my middle, dropping my eyes on the floor. I would just make out with someone right now. I hate this feeling. I feel so trapped. Haas placed his hand on my shoulder and I flinched. Is there really nothing we can do except for wait?
Beyond arming ourselves, potentially, I wouldn't think so.
I do feel like this is like the 6th conversation about us potentially, hypothetically, maybe one day arming ourselves, and maybe we could just get that out of the way and stop talking about it all the time. Just figure out your weaponry situation that you brought up like 4 days ago, I think.
Which, given our options, doesn't leave us with much.
Just start setting Home Alone traps, but like, you know, adult Home Alone traps, like punji pits. Just start fucking up this inside of this house. Make it a death trap to come in this front door. Like, just start doing something if you're just gonna wait here to die. Like, right. Unless we could convince Benson to hand over some guns or something, but... Haas tensed up next to me, shuddering. I swear Haas was the one doing gun training. Did I imagine that? Maybe it was Dean.
Yeah, if we see him around, I can ask. Sure.
I looked at Sal, who seemed to pick up on how the conversation had turned, dipping his head down.
Maybe we should maybe we should have some tea or coffee or just...
He sighed, shaking his head.
I'll go get that started. We'll be back in a bit.
Haas and I watched him disappear into the dining room and then presumably into the kitchen, leaving us on the stairs. Haas buried his face in his hands, breathed out, and looking about as well as I felt.
Hello.
We both turned to look at Roswell, who joined us on the stairs. What?
Are you?
Roswell, I'm gonna need a sentence from you.
You haven't missed anything.
Oh, there's Haas. You haven't missed anything, and we're just, waiting.
For?
Tea, I guess.
But you're on the stairs.
Waiting, not preparing, Roswell.
It's just where we ended up. Sal went to the kitchen, so...
What about Dean?
Sleeping still, apparently.
And,
He hurriedly scrambled. The hurried scrambling of feet on tile alerted us to Thanatos' arrival before he spoke, and he looked to each of us in turn.
What are you waiting for? Tea?
We're caught in a time loop.
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Sal's making it.
Thanatos turned to me, giving me that beady stare of his. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Just like, please, save me.
What are you waiting for?
I didn't answer, choosing to actively ignore him.
Boy, I'm talking to you.
Hey, Haas, I'm gonna give Sal a hand in the kitchen. I stood up slowly and made to leave, getting a few steps before Thanatos spoke again.
That's a shame.
It was enough to get me to stop, but not enough to turn around and look at him.
Figured you wouldn't leave me alone with Haas again after yesterday.
Roswell's here too.
Yeah, a lot of good that did, huh?
I deeply resent Thanatos. There's parts of the narrative with him that are kind of fun, but he literally never stops arguing all the time just to be irritating in that specific brand of way where if you respond to him, his response isn't logically consistent with the last thing he himself just said. So it's just aimlessly always being contrarian to every statement in a vacuum, as if the conversation doesn't exist around those statements. So it's just... he just sounds like an idiot all the time, but smugly, and it's just infuriating. And it's a real thing that real people do, and I hate those people too. It's like, oh yeah, a lot of good Roswell. Yeah. You just said, you were just negging me for not staying with Haas as if I'm going to protect him. And your point, and I said, oh, well, Roswell's here. And your point is, well, I just knocked him out last time. You knocked me out last time! That's not, doesn't make any sense! The same thing will happen whether I'm here or not with Roswell. You just do one noise and all of us are out, so what the fuck is the difference? Why are you pretending this is a distinction, you fucking asshole? I hate it when he speaks so much. It's just so annoying. What do you want, Thanatos?
For you to answer the question, what are you waiting for?
For the plot to happen to me, obviously. After 22 days, you think it had pattern recognition of what Dave does. I don't know what I'm waiting for.
Are we meant to be waiting for something?
Nothing good. It's all just a matter of time. What?
How much time?
That depends on Junior here.
It's up to me?
Dave?
How does it depend on me?
You hear that? I think I can hear the hopping of a rabbit drawing near. All
My
roads
blood ran
lead to the
cold.
annoying rabbit.
Finally. We were wondering where the fuck he was. My blood ran cold and I mouthed Jack's name as I felt my chest tighten.
I gave you the choice last night. You chose to stay. You have to live with that decision.
So that's it? We're just doomed?
I don't know, man. You could try. Any of you could try a little instead of just laying down.
No,
That's not even what he said.
I don't believe it. So what's it gonna be, Dave? Stay or leave?
Is this the same choice again? Is he proposing this but now with our friends?
I guess.
I looked from Thanatos to the other two, mortified. Was he really offering me the chance to leave again, even after I'd chosen to stay?
Dave?
If If Thanatos can hear Jack coming, can we buy ourselves time? Is there anything we can do?
I didn't interpret that as being literal, but if it is, we probably should call out for Benson for starters and get those guns. Grab any weapon you can think of. Just go. Just do things. But Dean's asleep. If we left, that means...
You can just wake him up.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Remember the water dream you just had? Pour water on him?
1 hour. Jack will arrive in 1 hour. You are approaching your final destination. That's not a lot of time.
It is kind of a lot of time. 1 hour is like a lot of time to react to get if your plan is to get the fuck out, or if you're planning on grabbing weapons. But also, it's been like 8 days. Jack's been coming for like 8 days. I think it was day 14 because I think day 15 was the explosion. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have I don't keep a timeline. I could, but I don't.
Your only saving grace is that he's been up all night, so chances are he's gonna be sluggish.
Okay, then just kill him. He uses a knife. You have guns. Is he coming alone? He's just a guy.
If we stay, can we hide?
Why are you asking permission? I don't understand these characters.
It's an option. I think he's trying to ask, like, is it something that will work? But we've already, I guess they wouldn't know that it's been established that Roswell is not gonna Thanatos is not gonna give him the correct, like, full on.
I don't
yes
know.
or no
I don't know what
answer
their
to things.
understanding is of the timelines in this timeline. But also, I'm just like, just imagine these fucking idiots like splitting up, like the Scooby-Doo gang, to all hide in different rooms and get murdered one by one, instead of just actually banding together and either like hunkering down in a specific room as a group, or like, you know, actually preparing themselves to deal with the guy that just has a knife when he shows up. Just as a group, just like, they could just be prepared. Like, you just set up in this room with multiple sight lines and you just all respond when the time comes, and you have a significantly higher chance of getting through this. And they're acting like one guy with a knife is an insurmountable obstacle that none of them could ever deal with. When, like, in all honesty, I sincerely believe that Sal can take Jack alone without a weapon. Like,
yes.
I think Sal can just fucking grab him. And there's several characters that are larger than Jack. Weight classes exist for a reason, but we have better weapons here. Also, I'm just like, I can't believe how it's just not even, they're not even processing the idea they can actually get through this.
We can hide in the secret passages. They won't know to look in the library.
Did they find the other way out of there? Because from Haas's story, you lock yourself in the library, there's no way out, because you can only open it from the outside.
Assuming Dom didn't tell anyone that it existed.
I mean, next level, lock yourself in the vault. There's a vault in there.
Then we lock ourselves in a room and stay quiet.
Which is a problem if they come looking for who killed Dom, more so once they find his body.
Roswell pointed at the blood smear on the ground, and I nodded slowly. And finding it would be easy the moment you walked in the door.
There has to be somewhere.
I looked at Thanatos, wondering what options are available to us. The pool? Which part of the pool? Like, the changing room, I guess? The greenhouse?
The hedge maze.
Would that work?
If we're inside the house, we'll get found. We'd also be trapping ourselves in case anything were to happen.
Okay, thank God Roswell's on to something at least. Couldn't they just find us outside?
What are the odds?
What are the odds of Jack looking around the house to find Dom and upon finding his body try to look for us in the hedge maze?
I suppose that's as good a plan as any.
With weapons though, right? Anakin smug face. Right? But we still have Dean to worry about. If he's not awake in the next hour, then just fucking slap him awake. Pour water on him. Carry him. There's so many of you.
If it's a choice between leaving him behind or dragging his ass out of bed, I'll gladly get Sal on board.
I don't think you'll need to do much convincing. The bigger problem is going to be Benson, really.
Why Benson?
You haven't noticed? He's been slowly withdrawing into himself more and more, and after killing Dom, it's only gotten worse.
Why would he care about Dom? Didn't he give us a whole speech about how like he doesn't even really feel much about killing people? I understand like he'd feel guilty after getting lashed out with Tyson, but I didn't think he knew Dom, besides maybe being a pre-existing antagonist. I felt my face scrunching up on its own. Serves him right after killing Tyson and letting Orlando be killed. Dave, we're in a situation.
Oh boy.
Mustn't have been easy losing Oswin as well.
Because?
Well, they were in the same house, right? Be like losing a family member. Not to mention how he died.
Not to mention how he died too, right under his nose, with little options on how to deal with any sort of suspect.
This feels weird. They're explaining
It is extremely weird.
They're explaining to Dave why Benson would be sad when Dave had this conversation with Benson already.
Did he have it in this timeline?
Yeah.
I guess he. Yeah, I guess he did.
The split was werewolf, so it was definitely like right after Oz died, like a day or two later.
Yeah.
So like, we had that scene, and it's one of the ones I complimented as being like this like a good scene for Benson. Like it was one of the better written scenes in general, and it digs into like why his emotional state and so on of a character that's otherwise very stoic and under emotive and we don't get a lot of details on. So them explaining that scene back to us, but they didn't even experience it, and we did, is just very weird. Like, it's not unintuitive that they could come to this conclusion, but why is this conversation happening? That's not what he told me.
Huh? What do you mean?
He said that he'd neutralized Oswin's killer, but they're still alive. How is that not what he said? That's just a different topic.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna say, like... What made sense to me was that they were like, and right under his watch, too. And it's like, that's not what he said. He actually said that Oz sent him away, which would be contradicting that. But instead he's like, nah, he neutralized the killer. Which I don't know what the logical conclusion... I don't know the logical connection between those statements was.
Yeah.
Seriously, we have to worry about that too? Not necessarily.
Please don't.
Right. Yeah.
That's Roswell.
Oh.
Right, yeah.
What do they mean? You don't necessarily have to worry about Oswin's killer? And Roswell knows what we're talking about? But what are we talking about? That they're keeping from Haas. I don't think it's Roswell that's I don't think it's the fact that Roswell's dying soon, which is maybe the secret they have, if he hasn't told anyone yet. But I don't follow. Immediately after, Roswell started into a coughing fit, clutching his chest. Hey, are you okay?
I'm fine.
You don't seem fine, bud. You don't sound fine. Is it just a cold, or...?
Haas and I looked at each other, grim.
It's hard to say. It might be that. It might be something else.
So he did tell everyone in this timeline.
I guess so. If Roswell's gonna get worse, maybe hiding outside isn't such a great idea. If he has another coughing fit while we're outside and someone hears.
It's a giant hedge maze.
I agree, so I'll need to stay inside.
That hedge maze is
Wow,
so
it's
big.
that one exact situation where he was like,
Oh,
if
no.
I am the only one who
Sacrificial
can save
Roswell.
us all.
Jack will kill you if he finds you.
You don't know that.
I guess, technically, it's possible. One of those goofy ass, I don't even remember what goofy ass genre fiction it was, but they're like, they didn't kill me because they sensed I was already dying or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember what movie that was, but it was extremely goofy. Also, you're gonna tell me that they would rather abandon Roswell than just try fighting Jack as a group? I gave him a look, briefly frowning towards Haas for him to say something, given I was at a loss, and resorting to just my facial expressions.
If he sees Dom's body and he goes nuts, you think he's just gonna ignore you if you get discovered?
I can hide somewhere.
I'm getting increasingly distracted by the fact that they've kept Thanatos on the screen this whole time, not emoting and also not talking. So he's just
Yeah.
frozen.
Library, maybe? Assuming Jack does that thorough of a search, but if Dom told Jack about it.
So go in the vault. Like the lab vault. It's there. And it's open. It was only closed for like a day when they were gaslighting Dave about the corpse. But like, you've been in there since, so it's there. And I don't think he can get in that, so... Hey Thanatos, what's the password? Haas huffed out.
We're wasting time. We need to get the others in on what's happening.
Thanatos, you've been pretty quiet this whole time.
He's blue screening.
Yeah, what if he just actually froze? He's just done. Powering down.
What about it?
Do you have anything else to add? Anything to say or do or...
Help?
Yeah.
Let me think. You're not gonna like it, but today doesn't go so well most times. I don't really understand the rules that dictate him being helpful because he's kind of doing exactly what he said he wasn't able to do, which was like give direct advice.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he's up to. They want to communicate the idea that he's seeing several timelines and he knows the statistical odds of how often it goes this way or that and so on. but it's itself weird that he keeps explaining that part in its own way. Like, because a lot of the stuff he's saying you would think would affect the data meaning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of choosing who.
When and where?
To confirm, you're asking where you need to be and when to be the one sacrificed.
Just kill the rabbit.
If it has to be someone, it should be me. There's no sense in denying that given my health, I'm the biggest liability to the group.
Roswell, that's messed up. Yes, it's messed up because Sal can just kill him. But if this actually were like a brutal circumstance where you had to choose one person, Roswell is being very reasonable.
There are contexts in which Roswell could sacrifice himself, but in this case, they just have so much time.
Yeah, and you could literally just tell Benson.
And there's so many of them, and in case we're unless we're just drawing some other wild assumption, Thanatos has very specifically just said the rabbit is coming multiple times, and there's been no indication anyone else is coming, and the rabbit is just known for having a knife. It's a Crocodile Dundee. We call that a knife, but it's a knife, and there's a bunch of them, and famously, when you restrict gun laws and don't allow tons of guns, the guys that try to go on stabbing sprees with knives are just noticeably less effective with random bystanders with no warning, and you guys have tons of warning and several weapons. In home turf building, I don't understand. I don't understand how in that context you'd be like, well, we better sacrifice our friend, and we got no other choice. Even if you're insane and think that's true, because we can't hide in the hedge maze that's massive, because the cough will somehow carry so far they'll hear you all the way in the center of the super hedge maze, which looks like it's the size of a fucking corn maze. There's still even options of hide Roswell in the vault, in the lab vault. Have Roswell go hide in a different part of the woods and just hope that doesn't happen to be the same part of the woods that they're coming from, because there's 360 degrees of freedom out there, and you could just disappear into the woods like you did before, where you have survived before, near Jack, admittedly, and maybe just don't get caught. Why would you sacrifice this? The sacrifice doesn't even keep them alive, so it's just not even a sacrifice in that way. There's no reason that them finding Roswell would somehow make them not look for the rest of them, unless he's just gonna lie and say everybody else already left, they went back home, and then everyone just believes him on the face value, and that lie works, I guess. This just doesn't function as a heroic sacrifice, and every part of the context just falls apart.
It's not messed up, it's just the truth. The cold, hard truth that if we're looking to maximize the amount of lives saved from this point out, me dying in place of someone else makes sense given I don't have much time left as it is.
He shook his head, looking to me briefly.
I still think that this story is fundamentally flawed, just off the basis that in order for Roswell's heroic sacrifice to be really good and meaningful and valuable to us, we have to like Roswell. But as far as I'm concerned, Roswell dying is a huge win.
Yeah, instead of voicing all these very obvious solutions and reasons why his reasoning is trash, you'd be like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
Good for him.
Cheering for you, buddy. Always knew you had it in you.
Yeah.
Dave, you understand.
Did I already read that one? Oh, no,
I don't think you did. I don't think you did.
Dave, you understand, right? You do the same thing in my shoes, after all.
I was a little taken aback by the question, but awkwardly stood there scratching my arm instead of answering the question. So what do I need to do? Oop.
So what do I need to do?
All right, fine. Better talk about this now rather than waiting until the bear's up or even when the crocodile returns.
The bear is... oh, right, Dean.
Dean, because he's,
I thought
he's
he meant
sleepy. He's a sleepy one.
But he was going to rise from the grave. Or like they forgot he was dead or something. I forgot about
Really? We're just gonna let this happen?
You could just not. Thanatos doesn't have power over you. He's a stupid little rat. I guess he does have power over you and that he can knock you out, but he's not even threatening you into this outcome. You're just refusing to take action.
You want to know what happens if you stay behind, Hoss. Huh? Sure. It's happened a couple of times. Had front row seats to every time it's gone down. Yours is the messiest by far.
Haas stared dumbfounded and started to shake. Thanatos continued on as if he hadn't noticed.
I was gonna do something and then I forgot what I was gonna... I had a comment to say right there.
Nope. Is it the fact that Thanatos is just interfering overtly now and just saying
Yeah,
other
well, no,
timelines?
it wasn't about that. It was, I had this thought. Is this the first time Thanatos has, like, directly described another person's death?
Might be.
I think it is.
Because he's so cagey about the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was wondering. I was like, I didn't realize... I mean, I knew Thanatos had some views over all of this stuff, but, like, I just...
It feels like it feels like it's against the rules to say this stuff if he's not even allowed to give you passwords and so on.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I guess it's interesting. Chases you down real easy, too. Lets you run for a while, but eventually drags you right back to the foyer and guts you.
It feels incorrect to me just because, like, he's saying, like, Dave, you gotta make your own decisions because your decisions cause different timelines, and I can't interfere with that process. But one, his very existence in any way is interfering with that process every step of the way, but also here he's just like, Haas is tempted to make this decision, and he's pushing him to make the other decision by threatening him with what happens in that timeline, which means he's just directly meddling with the decisions. So it's like, it doesn't feel like there's a logic here necessarily, because I refuse the idea that only Dave can affect the outcome of the timelines with the decisions, because obviously not. That's obviously not the case. Even if he's the only one that can get passwords, he's definitely not the only one that can affect the timelines. Because that's the whole point of why there's a variable person and so on. It's because everyone affects the timelines.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanatos shook his head, shrugging. Haas, in the meantime, had buried his face in his hands and started to cover his ears to block Thanatos out.
Discord froze for a second. There we go. Real messy. Doesn't care that he ends up with half of you on him and walks out covered in blood.
Thanatos, you should stop.
That's an understatement.
Oh, you think it gets any cleaner for Dean? Maybe Sal. I can tell you that Jack is a nasty piece of work when he's on a rampage.
Why would he be able to take everyone? Did they split up in every timeline and just be like, oh no, 1v1?
I mean, going by how this has gone so far, literally every character in this just probably talks at him. I mean, knowing Sal, Jack probably pulls out a knife and Sal is like, shrimp cocktail. That's very interesting. I've never seen one of those before.
Sal, where's the axe? You have an axe on the start screen. Is that, like, not even in the story? Like, is the axe from the fucking... Wait, is the axe from the massacre ending? And
I don't know.
Which means that if you play with Sal route, you get constantly shown an image that never happens in the timeline because that can't happen in his timeline.
Yeah.
Roswell went to say something but covered his mouth, looking to me startled.
I'll answer your question. Dean ends up a rug. I think Sal would make a nice pair of shoes if Jack was a bit cleaner with his knife work. Leaves them both dead, though. You Dave, though.
You're getting a little too quiet for Discord.
You and Dave, though.
No, that's all right. I don't want to know.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Also, Thanatos can't see Dave's deaths.
Yeah.
I hurried over to Haas and hugged him, finding myself trembling as he reached out to clutch me tight. I felt sick, and I was sure the others felt the same.
Either way, I'm gonna be heading off. Got things I need to do before Jack arrives.
Like what? Just jacking it.
You don't need to worry about that.
Thanatos!
What now?
Are you actually gonna do something to help?
What do you take me for?
He shrugged and disappeared soon after, just as Sal wandered in from the dining room. Did I miss something?